Hello my beautiful angels, welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel Palacios, and in today's video I'm going to talk about anxiety. And this is a question that I actually got on my live stream quite a few times, and that's how to deal with anxiety, how to get over anxiety. And as many of you guys know, as I've talked about before, I actually used to struggle with anxiety every single day. You know, it was just a part of me. I struggled heavily with it in 2018, I would say. In 2019 is when I really went through a healing journey, and I have a video all about how to heal and kind of the steps I took and what you can do to heal for yourself as well. Basically healed from anxiety. There are some days, of course, especially around the time of the month and things like that, where emotions and things like that can tend to get heightened and around certain things. So I have had to make changes in my life, and not only in habits, exercise, eating well, eating healthily, not drinking so much, but most of it has been mental and spiritual changes that I've had to make sure that I was doing my best. Now, I've compiled a list of 5 things that help me. Timestamps are down below if you guys want to skip ahead or whatever. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but I am going to be sharing my experience. And as I started in my last video, what I'm going to start doing in my videos is talk about crystals that have helped me or that can help promote peace and things like that, especially in dealing with anxieties, because you guys know I love crystals. So if you guys want to skip ahead, check out the timestamp below. You can skip the crystal talk, but if you want to know about the crystals that have helped me, then let's get into them. So first one is this pretty purple stone. This is amethyst. I also have amethyst back here on my bookshelf. It is definitely a popular one, and for good reason, because it does promote peace. And I always carry a tumbled amethyst with me. It has very soothing, loving, beautiful properties to it, and just wearing it as jewelry is really powerful. Can wear it as a necklace. Putting it in your home is really good too. Not only is it really beautiful, but it also does promote peace and tranquility and clarity in the home. It's also a great manifestation stone as well. Amethyst, I have a ton of little pieces like this, but I think it's definitely one of my favorites. So I actually talked about this particular stone in my last video, and this is angelite, which is my favorite periwinkle baby blue color. You guys can tell I love blue, because blue to me, I'm a Pisces, so I automatically gravitate. I feel like I gravitate towards blue a lot. This angelite crystal I've had with me for about 3 or 4 years now. It travels with me everywhere. It goes all over the world with me. I hold on to it when I need peace, and I feel like it's just such a calming, beautiful energy. I got this one on Etsy, but I don't know if the shop is still open that I got it on, but just searching angelite on Etsy, you'll probably find a lot. You can wear it as jewelry. A lot of times I will meditate with this to connect with my angels. That's why it's called angelite. A lot of fear and anxiety I felt was always in my chest. So I would hold this up near my heart and just do deep breathing, especially in those moments where perhaps I was getting a panic attack. I always keep angelite with me, even sleeping with it. I just feel like since I put so much loving intention into it, it's just kind of like my amulet or like my good luck stone now. All right, so now that we have discussed crystals, let's get into the steps that I took, and these are in no particular order, and I am going to be sharing some rather personal things with you guys in hopes that it will help somebody out there. So first thing I did was I cut out negative relationships. I developed anxiety actually, guys, maybe around college. You know, I moved away. I was in a new city. I moved to New Orleans, and when I lived there, it was a lot of partying. When you're 18 and you're starting a new life, go off to college, you don't know what to expect. There's a lot of question marks everywhere. And I was studying political science with, you know, the intention to go be a lawyer and then eventually get into politics. And I liked it, but in that school setting, I just wasn't happy. So there's just a lot of things from college. This was back, I was 18, I'm 25 now, so it's been a while. So there's a lot of things I don't remember, but it just wasn't a good time for me. I was drinking, I was partying, and I didn't like where I was going. My grades were suffering. I was just dealing with a lot of stuff at the time. I didn't know about the law of attraction then. I didn't know a lot of the things I know now, so I was just kind of feeling lost and feeling worthless. Felt like the school I was going to wasn't the right one for me since the very beginning. And I was going along with a plan that my parents wanted for me. So it was not like I was living my most authentic life. So that's kind of when I developed anxiety, and it's always something that I felt like I had to quell with alcohol or drugs and things like that, or pills. I never faced it head on. I always thought nobody else has anxiety. And this was back in 2012 when people weren't really talking so much like they are now on social media about mental health. But what I did then was I started working out. I started running every morning. I made it part of my daily habit. I got in really good shape in college, like really athletic, because I was running and working out every day, because I had been taught, since I was really little. My dad dealt with anxiety when I was like 5 years old. And what he would do is he would run every single day because he didn't like anxiety medication. So to keep his blood pressure down, all these things, he would exercise every day. My own experience with anxiety was seeing my dad deal with it when I was younger and how he dealt with it, and that was through working out. Started to kind of go on a journey. Other things in my life weren't going well. I was not happy at the school I was at. I was not happy studying political science. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to get into politics. To me, it just didn't resonate. I knew I wanted to start my own business. I knew I wanted to work for myself. I knew I wanted to do YouTube. And so I made a decision. I left the sorority I was in, stopped being friends with certain people. I made my circle really small, setting the foundation for what I want in my life. I realized that a lot of what other people wanted in life wasn't what aligned with mine. I felt very out of place. I didn't want to work for anyone else. I didn't want to be a politician. I didn't want to be a lawyer. So I transferred from that university where I couldn't even afford it. I was in a private school I couldn't afford. It just wasn't a good situation for me, guys. Like, college for me was a lot of fun. It was a lot of great experiences. I loved living in New Orleans. It was just a lot of things all at once. And a lot of people ask me, how do you know so much? How do you have all this wisdom? And trust me, I went through a lot. My life was just out of control. Maybe from age of 18 to around 21, 22, I felt completely out of control of my life. So all of this, I don't look back on my life in regret. I don't look back on my life, especially the late teens, early 20s. I don't look back on it with any kind of hatred. I'm grateful that I went through that because it taught me so much about myself, and I wouldn't be here with you guys if I didn't go through that stuff. And I learned about the law of attraction during this time. I actually put it into practice. And it's funny because that time period of like 20, 21, 22, 23 and up, I traveled so much. I had a lot of fun in my life as well, because these difficult things were happening outside of me, or like outside of my control, I was still really getting to know myself and really honing in on my power. So if you're going through something difficult right now, or maybe you're going through a phase where you don't know what you're doing with your life, you don't know, you're on the wrong path, you feel sad or depressed or down, keep moving forward and keep going forward, because I went through a time in my life where I was suicidal. Like, I didn't want to live anymore. Felt so hopeless and worthless. My grades, my GPA, I just wasn't happy with my life. I went back home to Texas and I got my life together there, and I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur and work full time for myself. That time period also helped me a lot, because I was going through a lot of people telling me what to do. You should do this. You should go get your master's. You should, go to law school, on all this stuff. And for me, it was like, no, I'm going to focus on what I want. So cutting out relationships and cutting out things that weren't serving me helped me a lot in my own anxiety. And it helped me realize that a lot of the anxiety I was feeling was situational, that it was just because I wasn't living a life that was true to me. I wasn't being true to my higher self, to Isabel. And when I was dealing heavily with anxiety in 2018, I was in a relationship I was not happy in. I don't even want to talk about that relationship too much. I mean, I can talk about it, but it's just a lot to go into. Let's just say it was not the healthiest relationship. It was long distance. The person was very controlling, manipulative, and it made me feel like I was worthless without that person. And I had felt like I wanted to end it for so long, but I couldn't. They literally would not let me end the relationship with them. And it was hard because I did have a lot of love for that person, and that created so much anxiety. So when I ended that relationship in early 2019, it was like a huge weight had lifted off my shoulders. And I took all of 2019 to heal from that. I took time to heal for myself. I had a time where I felt so down on myself, so just defeated. I felt like there was no hope for me because this person made me feel, and this is kind of funny to say now, and I look back, I'm like, really? I let somebody make me feel that? But this happens in a lot of toxic relationships. The person that you're with makes you feel like you're nothing without them, or that nobody else will love you, or you'll never find happiness without them. And I'm here, standing here a year later, after the fact, and I'm telling you, there is life after a relationship ends, and you will find a way out. You just have to keep going with the flow. But cutting out those negative relationships or those situations that you're not happy in are going to help you so much with your anxiety. And yes, it's scary, but for me, it was literally either keep going in this path I'm on and eventually die or kill myself. I know that sounds morbid, but literally it was that. Either I keep living this and I feel like dying every day, or I break away and do what it is that I want to do, what I'm being called to do. And every time I listen to my intuition, and a lot of times we're afraid to listen to our intuition because our ego is just so in control. But when you quiet it down and you listen to your intuition, usually it's nagging at you and it's like, no, do this, do this, do this. And you're just like, no, I can't do that. It's too scary. Cutting out the situations and the relationships and all that stuff that isn't serving you is probably the biggest, best step you can take in dealing with your anxiety. So my second thing that I did was I took the pressure off of myself. I took the pressure off myself to have everything figured out right now and have everything in line right now. And that happened when I detached from my ego. The ego, I have a few videos on the ego, but the ego is what keeps us in fear and lack. It keeps us in situations. The ego loves what's comfortable, what's familiar, what it knows. Anything outside of that circle of familiarity is deemed a threat. Even if there's nothing wrong there, even if it's not a threat, it will deem it as a threat, and that will keep you in your comfort zone in what you know. So in differentiating myself from my ego helped me take the pressure so much off of myself, because I realized the ego's always in fear. The ego's always trying to control everything, because the ego is our caveman brain, our primitive brain that's always on high alert. And a lot of the same feelings that we have when we have anxiety is that fight or flight response. And usually it'll sneak up on us when we're just sitting at our desk working or out talking with a friend. The anxiety will hit. All of a sudden it feels like this big weight and like time's running out and you shouldn't be there. And that's your ego. Your ego is just trying to latch on to something, creating this pattern and this cycle. So I realized, in those moments where I felt that pressure, where I felt that inexplicable feeling of dread or whatever, I talked to it. I said, this is just my ego. This is not me. I am consciousness. I am the awareness behind these thoughts or these feelings. I am not these feelings. In my video, How to Stop Fearing the Future and Feeling Behind in Life, I talk about this, which you guys, if you feel like you have a big fear of the future, check out that video, it should help. But I realized that a lot of my anxiety started off in my body, and all of a sudden that would go up to my brain and create racing thoughts. So I would have the heartbeat, the rapid heartbeat, and start thinking, oh my God, anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. But what I learned to do was I stopped that right as that feeling, that cortisol would pump through my body, that stress hormone pumped through my body. There's a 90-second window. So I stopped it in that 90-second window. I talk to myself and I say, you know what? There's nothing going on here. There's nothing going on. There is nothing to worry about. I stopped looking at my future or my life ahead of me as this big thing that I had to figure out right now. I have to figure everything out right now on this day, on this moment, or else I'm gonna die tomorrow. And that's just not how it works. It's not ever how it works. So we have to realize this pressure that we have for the future, the fear of the future. We can decide we're not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna take life day by day. And that's what I do. I take life day by day by day, or week by week, whatever works for you. But don't start saying, oh, in a year, or I'm not gonna find somebody in a year. I'm not gonna find my happiness in 5 years. Oh my gosh, when I turn 30, everything's gonna be terrible. And that's the thing. We often look at our current circumstances and we think that that's what's going to continue forever, and that's not true. Our current circumstances are just, they're flying. They're like the clouds in the sky. They're just going by. They're just going by. What we have to do is not associate with this right now, especially if it's negative, and all we do is find peace and joy in the moment. And if there's something that you can't fix right now, it's okay. I took the pressure off of myself to figure out my entire life at once, to do everything right now at once, to give into my anxiety, I just took its power away. What I do now instead is, if I'm facing an issue, I ask myself, is there something I can do about it right now? No? Then I'm just gonna let it go and I trust the universe. And that has helped me so much. Which leads me on to my third thing, and that is that I stopped looking at problems as so big, like took my problems off the pedestal, because that's what we often do. Let's say we have a problem, whatever it may be, we look at it as this huge, big problem, because again, that's our ego. It takes the little threats with these little problems and it amplifies it. Our mind takes little small things. Oh, somebody talked to me a little differently today. They must hate me. Or my boss is talking to my coworker more than me. Oh my God, they're gonna promote them and not promote me. You know, it's kind of like little things. We can blow them out of proportion. What we have to do is anytime we sense a problem or a fear or a difficulty, instead of being like, oh my God, like life is over. No, you talk to it and you're like, it's not a big deal. Literally take it off the pedestal. It's not a big deal. I can handle this. I've been through worse things. I can handle this. Like I can handle anything. I'm just gonna keep going with a smile on your face, keep moving forward. This is the thing, guys. Like I said earlier, our problems are like clouds in the sky. You know, they fly by and they're dissipating and changing, whatever. We can't identify with what's going on currently because everything is passing. Even we're passing. We're getting older as the time ticks by. And that's not to scare you, but it's just to tell you how temporary everything is. How temporary it is. And that made me realize, you know, my problems that I was facing when I was 21, I don't have them anymore. You know what I mean? I don't have to deal with woman and financial aid not wanting to help me. I don't have to deal with this professor who's wanting to give me a bad grade. I don't have to deal with the problems I did. Now I have other things that I deal with, but now I know how to handle them. I have embodied my higher self, and my higher self is always chill. It's always cool. And that's what I am. I'm not my problems. My problems don't define me. They're not problems. This is something that has helped me. I look at a problem, like I said earlier, and I ask myself, is there a solution? Is there something right now in this moment that I can do about this? If the answer is yes, then I go and do that. If the answer is no, I let it go. There's no point. I'm going to trust in God and the universe, and I'm going to give it to God. Even sometimes I have to pray. I have to say, please help me find a way out. I trust in you, Lord. I trust in you, universe. Just help me find a way. And you're going to see, guys, the universe comes through. God comes through. Whatever you want to call it. God, the universe, your higher self always comes through. You just have to let go and trust. Especially when it comes to things that haven't even happened in the future yet. Now, my fourth tip that I did, fourth step, was that I sought help. Now, help can come in various forms. Talking to a therapist or a psychiatrist, a professional is always probably one of the best things you can do. Not feel like you have to suffer in silence. Or even just talking to other people. You know, one thing that has helped me with anxiety was realizing that I wasn't the only one who dealt with it. In college, I felt very alone with it because I felt like everyone else was out living happy lives and everybody else was chill. Now that we talk about it more, I've realized that a lot of people deal with it. And I've learned, even through my own research, almost everyone deals with anxiety. But that does not mean that it has to be part of our story. It doesn't mean that it defines us. It just means that it's kind of a product of the way we live our life now. Luckily, a lot of us do have resources. And even if you don't have resources, I know it can be difficult to find a therapist or a doctor. Talking with people, a friend, a family member, a colleague, somebody who could lend an ear. Usually we'll keep a lot of things inside and then they'll kind of grow and expand and become huge in our heads and then take over our whole being. So if we speak things out, we journal them out, it helps a lot in releasing them. Sometimes I would say, oh my God, I'm so worried about this, I'm so worried. And just talking about it just almost made me laugh at it, you know? I laugh at a lot of the things I go through now. I just laugh because if I take things so seriously and I worry about stuff, especially stuff that's outside of my control, all I'm doing is taking away the happiness and the bliss from this present moment right here, right now. Seeking help, whatever that may be, maybe a spiritual advisor. If you need help in a situation, be proactive in finding help for something. Don't just spiral out of control. Literally, guys, worry and fear and stress blocks your blessings. It creates more problems, more resistance in the future. But when you let go and trust, or you talk about it, or you pray about it, you give it to God, you give it to the universe, you just relax and let go, and you're like, there's no point. There's no point in stressing out about this. You're gonna see that solutions will come to your problems. It's just a given. You don't have to suffer alone. A lot of us are going through it from time to time. And tip number 5 is I stopped putting so much power in the hands of other people. And this is all from self-love. I did upload a self-love video recently. Go check that one out, because self-love is probably what helped me the most to kind of take the power back and the validation back from other people. And this happened a lot to me, especially being on YouTube or on social media. I'd get like negative comments, or people would, ask me stuff about my private life, or, things like that. And it would drudge up a bunch of negative emotions and anxiety in me. And I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to, and then I'd have to talk myself out of it and be like, okay, like it's just one comment, it's just one thing. And then I got to a place where, to me, praise is beautiful, it's lovely, but I don't allow praise or criticism to affect my inner peace, my inner happiness. I'm going to choose what I'm going to focus on. And if somebody says something negative, or writes a bad comment, or brings something up that I don't want to talk about, even from people in your real life, if they say something, you got to take a step back and realize they're only human. We're embodying the energy of our higher self here. And the energy of our higher self is calm and cool. So in those moments where I might get a bad comment or somebody says something, I'll just smile and laugh and just let it go. Before I would respond to people, or before I would, get really upset or like think about leaving social media, you got to realize that people's criticism or their positivity does not affect your higher self. It's only affecting your ego. So when I kind of detached from the ego, and I broke down the ego, and I separated from the ego, which you do with meditation. I think meditation is the best way. Meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, of course, are great things for you to do when you deal with anxiety. Realize that you are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are not the people around you. You are not what people say about you. You are not people's opinions about you. You are not people's words about you. You are what you choose to be. And what you choose to be is just your essence, that vibe that you are, the way you view yourself, which I started to talk to myself positively. I stopped talking negatively about myself. I stopped giving into limiting beliefs. I had to change my limiting beliefs so much to deal with my anxiety. Overall, what I did was I let go. I realized I can't control what people say, think, or do. Only thing I can change is myself. And as I change myself and my inner dialogue, my thoughts, my feelings, my choices, my actions, then the world around me starts to change. So I don't see the world, before I used to see the world as kind of like this big place full of impending doom. Now I just see it as a playhouse. You go out in public, have fun with people, talk to people, don't feel so like you have to hunch your shoulders. Walk tall, stand up straight, getting out of your comfort zone, challenging what your fear and anxiety is telling you, I think is a huge way to get rid of it. Kind of to wrap everything up. A lot of it has been the perception of life. The perception that I had of my life, I have changed it. And I'm having more fun with life. And I think laughter and having fun and being in this energy, kind of like a childlike energy of fun and frolicking and all this, that has helped me so much with my anxiety. I don't deal with anxiety anymore. I'm happy to say I do feel it from time to time, but then I have to talk myself out of it. But it's no longer a part of my story. It's no longer a part of my everyday thing. Anytime maybe I've been on social media too long answering DMs, my body starts to feel it. I take a step back and I throw my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna go focus on something else. You see these colorful lights? Like, I've been wanting these colorful lights, and for a while I was like, I don't think my viewers are gonna like it. They're gonna say it's distracting. But I love these lights. Like, they make every space, like I'm gonna get them for my room. I'm gonna get them for all over, because these colorful lights, they make a difference. Like, just doing things that seem fun for you. That is where it all stems from. Not living so much in the future, forgiving yourself for your past, for past mistakes, and knowing that right here, right now, as you're living, there is a choice. You can choose to break out of the matrix, in that cycle that you might have been in, or that a lot of people are in right now, that they feel like they have to be stressed and anxious. Stop watching the news if you have to. I don't watch the news anymore. Like, I know what's going on, but I'm not gonna watch these people being like, oh my God, 200 days until, no. If we die, we gotta die, but we gotta do our best every single day, always, being in a high vibration, doing good onto others and onto ourselves. But literally, stress and worry, guys, it's not gonna find a solution. I wish I could get on every news station and be like, guys, relax. That's the issue we're having in our planet right now, is everyone's so stressed and worried about stuff, thus creating more stress and worry, thus creating more problems. We gotta lift our collective consciousness and talk positively about things, finding solutions, and that's how we will get through our problems. With anxiety, I can't work, I can't focus, I can't function. So that told me even more. If I want to get ahead on my goals and make things happen and make my dreams a reality, I got to let go of that worry and that fear and that anxiety. And I'm going to do what I can right now. And the sum of my choices is what's going to beget results. If you're dealing with anxiety right now, just relax, let go. It's okay. Take deep breaths, meditate, and don't believe that this is the end all and be all. Don't think that anxiety is going to stay with you forever, because it's not. It's not. A lot of people in my family deal with anxiety. My dad dealt with anxiety. And for me, I could easily been like, this is my story. This is it for me. I'm going to be just like everyone else. But instead I decided to take the power back, and I decided that anxiety is not part of my story. It's not my life. It's just worry. Maybe sometimes we worry. Sometimes we'll get excited, but it's not anxiety. It's not. Also, take magnesium, it helps. Meditate, be mindful, be present, have fun, laugh, stretch if you feel like you're always having tension. So yeah, that's how I got over my anxiety. So I love you guys so much. I hope this video helped. I have to go because my battery is about to die. Thank you so much. Don't forget to connect with me on social media. Links are always down below. Check out my podcast, Taking Back Your Power, and I will see you guys in my next video. I love you so very much. Always remember this, my angels. No matter who you may be in this life, no matter what you may be going through, no matter what you're dealing with or who you are, or what you look like, always remember your true beauty, your true worth, and your true power always come from within. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.